Alright, all you music makers, video game players, and entertainers from all around the world, welcome to the 476th edition of Music Village. I am your host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, bringing the best from the North, South, East, and West that the world of music and games has to offer. And seeing the fact that we're starting things off a wee bit later than most, we might as well waste no time and explain to you guys what's going to happen on this very special primetime edition of Music Village. And according to Carl and the Maestro, we should have called it Primetime Village, but we'll work out the title later. Because to kick things off for this week, folks, we go into a very special Metal Cat album edition of the Music Village CD review. Also, besides that, we go ahead and check out some cool games from a planet far away from here and from the Steam Machine alike for another edition of the Friday Night Greenlight. And speaking of the color green, and I think gangrene in this case, we go into a very special Flash Zombie sequel shooting edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And as a matter of fact, according to Carl and my show, we should have gave you guys this video game story almost a year ago. No, wait, looking at the clock right now, yeah, just about a year ago. Next up on the plate, we go ahead and check out some concert information from you independent artists for this weekend for another edition of the Indy for the weekend, which is me giving you guys local concert information from local artists performing in a local area live near you. Then finally, last but not least, and hopefully before the evening traffic rushes in, we wrap up this show yet another edition of the Up to Speed News, which is me giving you guys news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. I guess with that said, I think it's time for me to tell Carl and the Maestro to kick up the beats, crank out the tunes, and most importantly, make sure you get that makeshift street light you gave me as a gift last week on standby, just in case this show runs a little bit too late, because it's time for us to bring some fun and delight on your Friday afternoon/night, only here, right here on Music Village. So let's get this primetime show started, folks. Right, ladies and gentlemen, and especially you music makers and lovers out there, welcome back to Music Village. And now it's time for us to go into another edition of the Music Village CD review. And the album we have up on the plate for this week, folks, comes from a VTuber that goes by the name of OBKatyCat with their said album of OBKatyCat. I do believe it's self-titled, but it doesn't have a name for the said album, which is kind of strange. But outside of the album name, folks, usually when we review albums, we go along the following guidelines. Where were we able to get or find this said album? What was our favorite songs a part of this album? How did this album make us feel? And do we recommend this album and or CD to you, the fans at home? And for those out there thinking that CDs do not exist no more, yes they do, because they still make them. Even though they make vinyls more than CDs nowadays, according to Carl and the Maestro, they still exist. And that's why we still call this the Music Village CD review. Until that changes in the foreseeable future within the next 2 years, according to Carl and the Maestro. But with all the rigmarole out of the way, folks, where in the world did we find this album and this cat who can play metal? Well, folks, we were able to find this person who was able to bring metal to life in the most awesome ways known possible, approximately well over 1 entire month ago, when we came across their cover of the song of End of Heartache from Killswitch Engage, and was pleasantly surprised on how well they were able to play the instruments too, which was absolutely awesome. And I do believe during that same stream that they were able to do a cover of 3 Days Grace and a couple of songs from a couple of cool and classic versions of I do believe the Call of Duty Black Ops series. A lot of the background metal music from that, which was awesome. But to get things back on track here, folks, where were we able to find this said album? Well, we were able to find it on our YouTube page of Obi Katie Cat when it released as of April 16th of 2023, but we were able to listen to it 1 month later on May 23rd of 2023. And with us finding this said album, what was our favorite songs a part of it? I would have to say at least 4 songs on this album. Not only the Moonlight Sinatra, also 666 PM, even Listen, as well as the final song of the album of Aurora, which has a cool piano part towards the end, which was pretty cool indeed. And when I close my eyes while listening to this album automatically reminds me of being a part of not only a death race, but also a night of trying to survive a horde of zombies, trying to take out a local home or some form of shelter where we were bunked in before we saw the sunrise to get out of there the next following day from said zombie attacks, which is pretty cool. And according to Carl and the Maestro, as a matter of fact, it really did help us fight against the horde of zombies. And you'll hear more about that on a later date. And do we recommend this said metal album to you, the fans at home of metal from Cats? Well, if you guys want to listen to an album that features a metal cat giving cool tunes on an afternoon, evening, or night, that will most likely get you amped up to do just about anything and everything you could possibly imagine under the calls of duty, no pun intended, then I recommend you go out there, pick up your said TV remotes or wherever you pick up things to get things, and cop that disc. And before we go out, folks, we would like to say the people who participated in this album, including the drummer Pepperish Ghost 8, the mix master himself Ghost Data, the music video by Jun Mitsui, even the art by Ibi Blue, and also Necromorph, who was able to do the logo and album art as well. Bravo to every single one of you, especially Obi Katie Cat for her musical tunes featured during this album as well. You'll have something to be very proud of with this one, and here's hoping for another one in the near future. And with me giving an honorary salute to everybody who participated during this said album, I think it's time for us to go back and listen to a couple of the cool tunes from this said album. And when we return, we'll be back with more Music Village Delight right after this. So don't wear your horns out in afternoon/evening traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And don't worry, folks at home, in the near future, we will have an ad scene on TV for Obi Cat in the near future. And according to Carl and the Maestro, how would we review a cool cat in the middle of the night like that? Well, we'll find a way. We always do. Trust me. And can't wait to see what other video game covers she does in the near future too. And speaking of video games, but not covers, but more or less video games themselves, I think it's time for us to check out a couple of games from a planet far away from here and from the Steam machine alike for a very special 10-game edition of the Friday Night Greenlight. And the first game that we have up comes from the itch.io page of Yogurt the Horse. Nice name, by the way, with their set game of Ark Annoy. And this game automatically reminds me of a reverse version of Brickout with a little hint of Bomberman in there as well, too. Seeing the fact that the one creature trying to destroy your bricks does look like an enemy from, well, Bomberman. Now, here's hoping in the near future that not only you get a chance to put down special bricks to block the objects from being destroyed, but you also get a chance to play against your friend to see if they can try to break your bricks and most likely become unsuccessful in the process. Yeah, and according to Carl and the Maestro, they can probably beat me in this, and seeing the fact that it's been years since I played it, yeah, chances are you can. Yeah, I'm not gonna say, oh, well, I'm a little rusty, and then all of a sudden try to win a match or three, but no, you can win for now. But besides a future challenge that's gonna lead to a Rocky Balboa moment, folks, the next game that we have up comes from the developers, The Rejects. Nice name, by the way, with their set game of Try Again. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only MXC with a little hint of Deja Vu in there as well. And I was about to say Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, but I think it's a little simpler if we say MXC. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a chance to design your own obstacle course, but a chance to upload it online so others can try to go through that said course. Because I got a feeling a couple of you indie gamers out there will come up with some crazy course to throw somebody through a loop. And then with one of the pictures, a junk loop. And if you're wondering how in the world is that possible without getting tinnitus or some form of tetanus shot in the near future, I don't know. You guys figure it out. I'm not good at this. But besides building a deadly device that will most likely lead you getting lockjaw in some way, shape, or form, the next game we have up comes from the creators from the itch.io page of Lolise with their set game of Shift. And this game automatically reminds me of not only of Portal, but a little hint of Alien in there as well too. Seeing the fact that one of the screenshots they show for this game shows someone hiding behind a wall that might be an evil robot or an alien of some type, here's hoping in the near future that not only you get a chance to use a couple of those blocks that you use to make your way from one place to the next, to actually squish the said monster to prevent it from taking you out. And according to Carl and the Maestro, it doesn't work like that, but at the same time, it better, because I got a feeling if that thing catches you, you're done. You're absolutely done. But besides Space World Markland Beast that we mention each week when we have this show, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Cubic Survivor Developer with their set game of Cubic Survivor. And this game automatically reminds me of, for some strange reason, a 3D version of Round 42. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game, and Carl and the Maestro said yes already, that the further you get through the levels of this game, you can upgrade the cubes to prevent other cubes from attacking your cube. Which for some strange reason reminds me of the movie Tropic Thunder when Robert Downey Jr. said that he's a dude dressed as a dude disguised as another dude, which perfectly describes these cubes here. So if we can already upgrade our said cube to protect ourselves from other cubes, here's hoping in the near future that you can also have some form of cube beam to take out all the cubes that are around you. And according to Carl and the Maestro, you can only upgrade your speed, your aura, and maybe the shot speed that you have as well too. Alright, I guess it'll work. Hopefully. And the next game that we have up, besides a Cubeception moment that I just had in my head featuring this game, comes from the developers Plastic Cow Games with their set game of Smash Dungeon. And this game automatically reminds me of an RPG version of Smash TV. Yeah, and more or less a 3D version of it as well too. And here's hoping in the near future that not only you can play this alongside with your friends, but maybe, just maybe, run into a room where you can win a cool prize while you're trying to take out these creatures. That can turn out to be some cool looking sword that can help you out in combat, especially against that giant oversized worm you fighting next to a pentagram, according to Carl and the Maestro, which scares the daylights out of me. And at the same time looks like the sandworm from Beetlejuice. And according to Carl and the Maestro, nope, it's not that. Alright? Anyway, the next game that we have up, besides a worm that was featured during a cartoon and a movie, comes from the developers Panthera Games with their set game of Let's School. And this game automatically reminds me of Prison Simulator with a little hint of the high school that I used to go to. Yeah, it really does, especially with the lunchroom over there in the corner. It looks pretty cool. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this said game that not only you get a chance to add new wings to this said department, but also a school part, as well as maybe, just maybe, a part of the school where you have different forms of clubs that you can meet friends in the future. And maybe a game room. And according to Carl and my show, not too entirely sure about the game room, but they have science, social studies, math, and you know, the usual suspects for this school. Well, I'm gonna see if I can add the other things that I said before to this game to help you get a good diploma for, you know, fun, I guess. Which, according to Carl and my show, yeah, 0 fun for a diploma. Alright. Well, besides Carl and the Maestro already shooting down the school that I wanted to mention before it's even built, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Board Games with their set game of Demolition Party. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Demolition Derby arenas, but a little hint of Twisted Metal in there as well too. Now, here's hoping in the near future that not only you get a chance to modify your car, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to also get a chance to actually design your own cool courses that take people out in as well too. Even though Carl and the Maestro would say it would be unfair since you know the layout of the place, but at the same time, the way that it could be designed could throw a curveball at even you. And also, depending on your opponents, yeah, them getting one over or you getting one over on them, even though you know the course, could be highly unlikely. Prime example of that, my sister. But besides an incident in a course that I made to try to beat my sister in and she still got one over on me, the next game that we have up comes from the developers G1 Playground with their set game of Zelter Zombie Shooter. And this game already reminds me of a combination of not only Z Nation with a little hint of Dead Nation and a splash in there of Metal Slug from a topside view. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this said game that not only you can inhabit one of the houses to try to help you survive this horrifying world, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to also find some cool weapons and other survivors to help you get the hell out of this place as quickly as possible. Cause looking at a couple of these pictures at night, yeah, you're gonna need all the help you can get to get out of there. And apparently, according to Carl and the Mice, you got a certain amount of days to escape, too. Ooh, I don't want to be them. And the next game that we have up comes from the developers and Art Studios with their set game of We Need to Cook Drug Empire Simulator. And this game automatically reminds me of Breaking Bad. Yeah, definitely reminds me of Breaking Bad, seeing the fact that they used the W and C for the "we need to cook" on the logo for this, and it even features a said RV. So the only thing I hope for in the near future for this game, that not only you get a chance to upgrade your RV to better suit your needs, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to have a lab that you can drive to that you can upgrade as well too. And according to Carl the Maestro, showing pictures of the upgraded van and even the upgraded lab with a whole bunch of chemicals you gotta be careful around, and with well over $3.6 million, yeah, I think it's possible. Alright, I'll take it. And the last but not least game that we have up for this week comes from the developers at Most Games with their said game of Twisted Tower. And this game automatically reminds me of, I would have to say, that one ride that was featured during, I guess, Disneyland? I can't remember which said park had that one ride that was featured in Disneyland that was themed off the Twilight Zone. And I think this one was it. It was the Tower of Terror, I know that, but a Twisted Tower in comparison to this. But to get things back on track, folks, this game automatically reminds me of a combination of Kenny Massacre with a little hint of Unturned in there as well, with a hint of a little bit of Robo X in there as well too. And here's hoping in the near future for this said game that not only you get a chance to take out all of these said creatures with a whole bunch of cool weaponry, but even a chance to get that cool hat from that Ringmaster that's featured in the game too. Because the Ringmaster's wearing a top hat and I think I can fit it. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still coming in from a planet far away from here, yet close enough to be beamed to your house in less than 24 hours, then you can head on over to the Free Game Planet page, only known as freegameplanet.com, to check out a whole bunch of cool, weird, strange, and awesome games that are just out of this world. And if you also want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still coming through the Steam Machine, Cargo Plane, or even Subterranean Train that is currently rolling underneath your toes, then you can head on over to the store.steampower page, only known as store.steampower.com, and click ever so lightly on that upcoming button while clicking on that Indy button as well to check out a whole bunch of cool games that I got a feeling a couple of you gamers shipped off so quick, we actually thought it was a mode of transportation, a part of the usual transportation that the games are delivered on. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, no, it's not. Well, what happened to the cargo ship? Apparently it couldn't come in this week due to high tides. Right, I get it. And with that being said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with yet another new DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories right after this. So don't get lost in that afternoon or evening traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Alright, all you video gamers, welcome to yet another sequel zombie shooting town traveling edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with a title like that, we decided to go with the video game from Con Artist Productions of The Last Stand 2. I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to get ready to lock and load and try to make our way to Union City with plenty of help along the way to keep the dead at bay as we get ready to paint the picture. right? This video game story began approximately 1 week ago past the Indy Radio Arcade when I was able to find this game on a website known as crazygames.com. And the fact that I was able to play this game for the first time in well over 15 years was something that put a smile on my face, but at the same time brought back some good and bad memories. Because when I originally played this game, I was able to make my way to the city you're supposed to, which is Union City, to try to radio for help in less than 34 days' time, with a whole bunch of survivors, a quatloon of guns, and with a big smile on my face with everybody watching me, taking everybody out at a moment's notice. But unfortunately, once I played this game and realized I did have a little bit of rust to get off myself to properly take out as many zombies as I could, I would realize that it wouldn't be the same game I remembered as a kid. Because the second I made my way to Glensdale and went from Glensdale to Claysburg and only got a 357 and an Uzi and only 2 survivors, I would say, maybe I should search around a couple of more days and try to find some more weaponry. 10 days would pass after that moment, and I would not only find 3 more people, but also a whole bunch of traps that I would be able to use to take out the zombies and even dogs that would try to come after us. But at the same time, would have to worry about not only the SWAT officers with the bulletproof vests, but even the army soldiers with the armored helmets that they would wear that would make it impossible for you to shoot them in the head. But apparently the survivors who had no problem with that would be able to take care of them as we skipped our way on over to Aspen Wood, where I would be able to find a couple of more weapons, a couple of more survivors, to the point where I would have a full line of survivors all towed out with weapons to take everybody out until we ran into Jamestown. Now, for those who are wondering out there why Jamestown was such a problem, well over 100,000 people lived in Jamestown at one point in their lives. And with them all being dead, and with the game saying the more survivors you run into, or the more population you run into, the harder the level will be. And boy, they weren't kidding. Because not only did I run into a whole bunch of crazy zombies carrying around axes, machetes, and even nightsticks, and a microphone, because one of the news interviewers were actually out there trying to take us out too. They would be able to take out 3 of the survivors, knock down the barricade, take me out, and even cause me to redo it again and again and again, only for me to give up. And that would be the first time I would ever give up at a game, but I would say, oh, this ain't over by a long shot. I'm gonna beat this before long. And then I remembered prior to this week's edition of Music Village that I need to beat that level. So I would pick up the sticks and immediately take the same route I would take before, but this time would not run into as many survivors and as many guns or as many people or traps to help me out along the way. And as I made my way through, it would be me as a one-man army. Because one of the survivors, as one of the barricades fell down as we made our way to Aspen Wood, would run away and run for the hills as I would take out all of the zombies with a UMP-45 from a distance, wondering, why in the world is this gun so good? I'm pretty sure the assault rifle should be a better weapon. But as I made my way and actually found the said assault weapons as I made my way to Jonestown, those weapons were useless. I would even find grenades and they wouldn't help me beat this level. Time and time again, I would run into more and more problems, and even the one survivor I was able to find in the town before, unfortunately, he would get taken out with a machete to the side of the head. So it's just down to me to make my way to Union City alone, and each time I would try to play this, I would pick different weaponry to try to get the job done, from the M4A1 to the assault rifle, the AK-47 variety. Even the sawed-off shotgun could not handle these zombies, nor could the chainsaw. So with all options used, I went back to the same weapon that got me to this town in the first place, the UMP-45, to take out all of these zombies as they would try to run at me at full speed, some of them at slow speed, and even the dogs who would come up toward the barricade and take it down each time for me to wonder, what do I gotta do to get rid of these zombies? It's starting to get maddening at this point. And as time went on and time went forward, and with each failed attempt of me getting closer to daybreak and getting rid of all these zombies, I would finally come up with a final be-all, end-all solution, saying to myself, you know what? Why not mix it with not only the UMP, but also the double-barrel shotgun on full screen mode and see what happens? And once I started the game in full screen mode, taking out not only the SWAT officers, even the military officers, as well as the old ladies with machetes in their hand, don't ask me how in the world they got them, but was able to take out each and every single last one of them with a very impressive headshot with the UMP-45, just lining them up and mowing them down. Even though the barricade was gone, would be able to keep them at a distance by doing a shuffle and moving left and right with the keyboard to keep them away from me, and to finally be able to take them all out as the sun would rise, and for me to finally get enough supplies to make my way out of Jonestown directly to Union City. And in my shock and awe of making it to Union City, I would realize two things. Not only I would make it there approximately 4 days earlier, nay, strike that 5 days earlier than my record, but I would also be able to take out well over 1,080 zombies along the way, making it one of my most impressive records to date. And not to mention a record that I got a feeling is gonna stand the test of time for another 10 years, knowing my luck. And I guess with that said, folks, wraps it up for yet another sequel zombie shooting Ghost Town Uzi Traveling Edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with that, we'll be back with more right after this. So stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And yeah, 3 things about that video game story. 1, that was the reason why in the world this show was late for this week, but we didn't want to tell you in the beginning because we wanted it to be a surprise. Secondly, apparently not only do they have Union City, but they have a 3D version of the game currently available on Steam from Con Artist Productions. And finally, last but not least, in the future, we might just try to beat that version of the game too. So yeah, not only a review, but a video game story about how I will conquer that game in the near future as well. All 2 of them. Because apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, they're all on sale for a bundle. Not bad. And a hell of a bargain, too. But besides getting cool bargains on awesome games I played from yesteryear, I think it's time for us to go into one of my favorite parts of the show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Indy for the weekend, which is me giving you guys local content information from local artists performing in a local area live near you. And we kick things off with Friday, July 21st. Man, this month's going by quick. And the first band we have up is Zare, who's going to be performing at the Museum of Early Trades and Crafts in Madison, New Jersey at 6 p.m. Basement Noise is going to be performing at the Stu and Dolly's Place in Odensburg, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Sergio, Phoebe, and the Make-Believes is all going to be performing at the Summer Showcase Series in Staten Island, New York at 8 p.m. Diamonds and Jupiter is is going to be performing at the Tierney's Tavern in Montclair, New Jersey at 8 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Friday night, you can see Emily Victoria, who's going to be performing at the La Pizza Rouge in New York, New York at 11 p.m. And on Saturday, July 22nd, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. DJ JRS is going to be performing at the Mixology in Elizabeth, New Jersey at 12 p.m. Jeff Gunther with the Coots. It's both going to be performing at the Torn Valley Vineyards in Sloatsburg, New York at 1 p.m. Mike Grunge and the Coots. It's both going to be performing at the Torn Valley Vineyards in Hillburn, New York at 1 p.m. He's working two different places in the same hour. Not bad. Not bad at all. Anyway, next band we have up is Down by My Sins, who's going to be performing at the Delancey in New York, New York at 6 p.m. The Anderson Council, the Melancholy Kings, and Thrill Ride, nice band names, is all going to be performing at the Crossroads in Garwood, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Rob Pizzipo is going to be performing at the Vilios Meat Market and Steakhouse in Wayne, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Whiskey Crossing is going to be performing at the Tony's Restaurant, Pizza, and Pub in Hardyston, New Jersey at 8 p.m. And the Lackow and the Mess-Arounds is going to be performing at the Shillelagh Club in West Orange, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Bindi with Living Rumors and Johnny Cole is all going to be performing at the Heaven Can Wait in New York, New York at 8 p.m. Mike Grunge with Sharp Edge is both going to be performing at the Great Notch Inn in Little Falls, New Jersey at 9 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Saturday night, you can see Ron Jackson, Akio Zora, Carmen Intor Jr., and Ronnie Music, as well as two other bands yet to be announced, who's all going to be performing at the Puffin Cultural Forum in Teaneck, New Jersey at 8 p.m. And on Sunday, July 23rd, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. Roy Fatuba Jazz is going to be performing at the Restaurant Lorena's in Maplewood, New Jersey at 12 p.m. Aaron Lee and the Up Past Bedtime Band is going to be performing at the Bryant Park in New York, New York at 12 p.m. Iconside, Damn Your Eyes, Avitas, Breath of the Moor, and one other band yet to be announced is all going to be performing at the Tompkins Square Park in New York, New York at 2 p.m. Diamonds and Jupiter is going to be performing at the Morristown Cultural Events in Morristown, New Jersey at 4 p.m. Galipote is going to be performing at the Summer on the Hudson in New York, New York at 5 p.m. Nikki Brayer is going to be performing at the Red Lion in New York, New York at 7 p.m. You can also see Jesse Gurin's Tribute to Elvis, who's going to be performing at the Flom Park Gazebo in Flom Park, New Jersey at 8 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Sunday night, you can see Emily Victoria, who's going to be performing at the Cafe Y in New York, New York at 9 p.m. And on Monday, July 24th, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. Or according to Carl and the Maestro, performing in a local area live near you. Which is the same thing I said, but they wanted to say it differently, apparently. All right. And the first band we have up is Clyde Mitchell Laneman, who's going to be performing at the Stoneforge Tavern and Public House in Raynham, Massachusetts at 5 p.m. The Do-Over is going to be performing at the Laguna Bob in South Padre Island, Texas at 6 p.m. Zach Johnson is going to be performing at the Red Brick Tavern in Conroe, Texas at 6 p.m. Janie Baldress is going to be performing at the Green Hall in New Braunfels, Texas at 8 p.m. Tristan is going to be performing at the Springville Ranch, the Big White Barn in Springville, California at 8 p.m. Santana Ways is going to be performing at the California State Fair in Sacramento, California at 8 p.m. Randy Burgard is going to be performing at the Cheyenne Outlaw Saloon in Cheyenne, West Virginia at 8:20 p.m. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, it's Wyoming. You sure? Oh, typo, I see it. But ballpark errors and typos aside, folks, next band we have up is Lehen, who's going to be performing at the 806 Coffee and Lounge in Amarillo, Texas at 9 p.m. The Lonely Hearts Club Band is going to be performing at the Laguna Bob in South Padre Island, Texas at 9:30 p.m. Leanna is going to be performing at the VY Lounge in Palm Springs, California at 5 p.m. Brian Baker is going to be performing at the Tuskegee Hotel Copa Room in Las Vegas, Nevada at 7:30 p.m. Chicken on the Bone with Chicken Quartet, nice band name, is both going to be performing at the Beach on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, Louisiana at 7:30 p.m. Garage Boys is going to be performing at the Fremont Street Experience in Las Vegas, Nevada at 8 p.m. Satellite Union with Untold Dirty is going to be performing at the Montrose Saloon in Chicago, Illinois at 8 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Monday night and for all the bands we're going to mention for this week, you can see Mark Aston, who's going to be performing at the La Casa Cigar and Lounge in Las Vegas, Nevada at 8:30 p.m. If you guys want to go ahead and check out the complete list of bands that we could list during this very broadcast, and trust me folks, there were a lot of them, you can head on over to ReverbNation.com to check out the complete list of bands that we could list during this very broadcast. While you're over there folks, go ahead and check out a couple of their cool tunes. Trust me, worth the listen. Like we say at the end of all of these skits, go out there, support your local artists, and see these guys perform live. And trust me, they'll love you for it. I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music and continue to listen into these diamonds in the rough. Only here, right here, on Music Village. So don't wear your horns out in afternoon/evening traffic just yet, folks. And stay tuned. And we're back with the afternoon/evening primetime show that's able to give a shout out to people who's been on for 4 years on YouTube, only known as Music Village. And as a little bit of a heads up, folks, for those who wants to fully support the metal waifu as she calls herself, you can head on over to the YouTube page of one girl known as Obi Katie Cat to check out the full album plus a playthrough of the said album for yourselves. And no, Carl and the Maestro, we're not getting a sponsorship for this. We just felt the need that people need to listen to some cool heavy metal music in the afternoon. Sort of reminds me of my friend's old show, Metal in the Afternoon. Not bad. Not bad at all. But besides mentioning old school shows from my high school career, I'm looking at my watch right now. Oh, it's just about that time. It's the witching hour, which means it's time for us to be brought up to speed with news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. And in our first news story, and an exciting news for you James A. Janice Dead Meat fans out there, with James A. Janice back in full swing for the kill counts, not only mentioning urban legends over the past several weeks, but also going into a movie we wanted to watch for the longest amount of time, none other than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And the fact that this is an actual film, it had a trailer and a release, and now a kill count for it, I definitely have to watch this film in the near future, but more or less watch the kill count first to see all the cool kills that are featured during it. And how in the world the 100-acre wood turned into a bloodbath. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the kill count for Blood and Honey for this week from James A. Janice, then you can head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Dead Meat to check it out for yourselves. And in other news, and more or less Saw news, for you fans out there who are chomping at the bit for an early release of the Saw film of Saw X, it looks like the wish has been fully granted, because on the Twitter page of Saw itself, they would say the following: "I've heard your beautiful screams of anticipation loud and clear. Saw X is now coming at you 1 month earlier." Nice! And I, for one, am overly excited to see where in the world this movie's gonna pick up where it left off, or is it gonna be another one of those Saw films that is an in-between of another Saw film that's gonna leave more questions than answers? And according to what Carl and the Maestro said, I got a feeling number 2 may happen. What, an in-between film of another film that's disguising itself as a film? Yeah, a lot of Tropic Thunder references during this show, folks. And I got a bad feeling that's exactly what's gonna happen, seeing the fact that the picture that they have below shows John Kramer still alive. So yeah, I got a feeling that's what they're gonna go with. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out not only the picture of John Kramer from the Saw series, but also the cool message of Saw from the Twitter page of Saw, then you can head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as Saw to check it out for yourselves. And no, Carl and the Maestro, I'm not going to say seesaw, because that's going to make me like Carrot Top. No, we can't have that around here. No prop comedies around here. And for those wondering at home, the new date for the new Saw film will be coming out as of September 29th of 2023. Just a week after the new Expendables film. Wow, September's gonna be a real jam-packed movie month. And in other news of the movie variety, or muse as Carl and the Maestro already called it, for you fans out there of the new Borderlands film and is chomping at the bit of the new release date for that said film, well, it looks like this week is going to be a week of release announcement dates, because they've announced that this film will be coming out as of next year. And I, for one, am overly excited for this Borderlands film, seeing the fact that it will not only feature Jamie Lee Curtis, even Jack Black and Kevin Hart featured in this film as well, too. And with everybody who's ever played a Borderlands game, you automatically know the insanity of the game itself, but in movie form, I can only imagine how crazy this film is gonna be. And for those out there who wants to go ahead and check out the release date announcement for yourselves in beautiful Technicolor like they have here on the said Twitter page, then you can head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Borderlands to check it out for yourselves. And as a little bit of a heads up, this movie will release as of August 9th of 2024. So you guys have a full year and change to wait for this film, and I have a feeling it's gonna be worth the wait. It really is. And I guess with all those regular news stories out of the way for this week, folks, you guys at home know what time it is. No, Carl into my show, it's not time for us to pre-order tickets for a film, but at the same time, that sounds like a pretty good idea. We might do that later. But for right now, it's time for us to go into yet another edition of... And step back for this one before you go on Fandango to find those tickets. Video game news. In our first video game news story, and more or less Mortal Kombat news. For you fans out there who always wanted to know the story of the Moongadi, then I have some good news for you. Because it's been announced as of this week, we would see footage from MK1 of the Moongadi soldiers and warriors, including none other than Katana, and as well as others that were featured in the ranks. And I, for one, after checking out the fatality of Katana, am really excited to what in the world the story is going to behold for Mortal Kombat 1. Because they even show the origin story about how not only Katana's sister turns into one of those creatures, but even shows a couple of other behind-the-scenes things as well, too. Which I got a feeling this is going to be probably one of the most jam-packed stories in MK history. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the cool trailer and fatalities that would be featured during it, then you can go ahead and check it out on the YouTube page of one man only known as Mortal Kombat. Then check it out for yourselves. And in other video game news, and more or less video game DLC future news. For you fans out there who always wanted to find out the first list of fighters that's going to be making its way to the Mortal Kombat ranks of DLC variety, well, this week I have some good news for you. Because not only they've announced none other than Shang Tsung, or according to Carl and the Maestro, none other than Quan Chi, Ermac makes a return, Omega Man, and even none other than Homeland, Peacekeeper, and even the trainee of one Scorpion featured in this as well too, which is absolute insanity, which is Takeda. And the fact that you have two people on that list of future DLCs having possibly one of the best fatalities of the Mortal Kombat series in the ranks, I can only imagine the insanity they're gonna add with Ermac finally back in the ranks of Mortal Kombat. Oof. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the cool release of these said characters in a trailer-like form, then you can head on over to the website or YouTube page of one man only known as Mortal Kombat to check it out for yourself. And in other video game news, and more or less Kong Island news, For you fans who always wanted to play a video game based on Skull Island where Kong was born, then I have some good news for you. Because it's been announced as of this fall, there will be a game entitled Skull Island Rise of Kong that will be available as of this fall for all consoles across the board. And after checking out the trailer and all of the horrifying things that'll be waiting for you on this said island, including giant oversized bugs, dinosaurs, and other crazy things, yeah, I might need a friend for this, and hopefully you can bring some along the way for this said game. And for those who are wondering out there, this game will cost you $39.99 for the standard edition. But for those out there who wants the Colossal edition, it will come with 8 exclusive film grains and a couple of other cool bonuses to go along with it for just $10 more. And I, for one, say that's a steal. Let's just hope they provide a shotgun to take out all the things that are on that said island. Hopefully. Hopefully. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the cool trailer for this said game for yourselves, then you can head on over to the Game Informer page, only known as GameInformer.com, to check it out for yourselves. And this game of Skull Island Rise of Kong will be available as of this year for all consoles across the board as of the fall solstice. When will that be? Hopefully we'll find out the answer to that in the near future. And in other news and more or less Grand Theft Auto Online news, for you fans out there who always wanted to have an electric sports car from the 70s, then this is the week for you. Because now you get a chance to purchase the Pinard Le Courseuse, and hopefully we said the name of it right, that is currently available that you can purchase from the Los Santos Legendaries Customs shop that they currently have available. But wait, there's more! Because not only you get a chance to get a brand new bike and called the Inductor that comes with Beetle Boost on it, but also a chance to try out new Junk Energy time trials to test out this brand new bike before you try it. And get a select amount of money for beating the challenge, and also a special Junk Energy suit if you're able to beat the time trial challenge in under the time listed. Which I think is still 2 minutes, according to Carl and Maestro. And they're right. And also, besides that, folks, a chance to get triple the amount of money for hot ring circuit races, special vehicle stunt races, triple the amount of money for this week, even triple the amount of money on open wheel racing, summer racing event rewards as well to go along with it, even triple the amount of money on street races, pursuit races, and also to go along with it, folks, for the lucky wheel for this week, a chance for you to win the Volker Warner HKR, which looks like a drifting hatchback car that I was able to win for some strange reason. Yeah, I didn't even expect to win the thing, but I got it. And alongside with that, folks, plenty of deals. And the first deal we have up is 40% off on auto shop properties, as well as customizations for your auto shop properties. And even alongside with that, a chance for you to get 30% off on the Mammoth Avenger, 40% off on the Lynx, even 40% off on the Fitzer 811, 30% off on the Dominator ASP, 30% off on the open wheel Onslaught R88, even 30% off on the Classy DR1, and 30% off on the Pariah GTO Toro XO to go along with it as well too. All for sale for this week. And for those out there who want to check out more deals that are still making their way through the social club pages of Rockstar, then you can head on over to the socialclub.rockstargames page, only known as socialclub.rockstargames.com, under the events section to check out all of those cool deals for yourselves. I guess with that said, for this week, you have all officially been brought up to speed. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Music Village for this week, right after this. So don't wear your horn out in evening traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, seeing the fact that the street lights are on and the evening traffic is really starting to roll down the hills, we might as well bring Music Village for this week to an emphatic close. But don't worry, if you miss any of this primetime delight we were able to give you for this week, we got you covered, because you can catch this show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, or even Tumblr page is still named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag MusicVillage476. And for the 476th time, according to Carl and Maestro, mention the Instagram page too. Alright, well, you can also check us out for our shows on our now Instagram page of Music Village Radio as well. See, we're not gonna have to try to fit that into the intro now too. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out what other crazy and zany things we still got prepared for this month of independence, like a new tagline we got to add to all the other shows in the near future, then you can go ahead and check it out on our YouTube/Twitter pages, still named the same, only known as ZOO Agent 0012. And speaking of YouTube, folks, we almost forgot to mention this week's edition of Music Village will be up on our YouTube page in its entirety without the music. You know, the music from you indie artists out there. And we would also like to thank, and most importantly of all, first of all, you, the fans out there, for listening in to another indie primetime edition of Music Village. And like always, guys, if you like what you heard, go out there and spread the word. You know what? Like Plus Ultra singing their song, Not Enough Time. And according to Carl and the Maestro with the PR department, they're giving me the thumbs up and apparently wearing the Plus Ultra symbol on their shirt, which is a dead fish for some reason. Never understood that. And where'd you get that shirt in the first place? Apparently the internet. Alright, very Timmy Turner of an answer of you, so I'm just gonna move on. Because we would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for doing that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys, and here's hoping your indie artist album will be featured during this show next week, or the week after next, or whenever we can have it on the show. And why? Because we believe in you guys. That's why. And finally, last but certainly not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for delivering all those sweet, sweet video game hits and clips that we had a chance to mention during this week's show. And as a little bit of a heads up for the Independence Month game goal list, we're only 4 games shy of getting our first indie goal for this month, which is 246. It's actually 250, but that's how many games we have thus far. So to all you gamers out there, keep those games coming, because we really want to reach that goal before the end of the month, and I got a feeling you'll be there to help us. And as always, you never know what show might be lurking around the corner next, so keep those games coming. Hint, 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 hint. And I guess with everybody thanked, you guys out there, now we go out. I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of Carl and the Maestro singing, not enough time. No time to work and no time to play. Yeah. Not enough time in a day. But most importantly, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we'll see you guys next week for a very special month-ending, week-ending edition of Music Village. But until then, folks, Thanks for watching, and good night, everybody.